My happy marriage didn't last long. We had been married for 2 years, and I truly loved my husband. I spent every day trying to make him happy. I even made sure to take care of myself so he would always find me attractive. But then, I discovered he was cheating on me. John was the love of my life, but now he wanted a divorce. One afternoon, I thought he was at work, but he came home unexpectedly, with his lover. He was holding divorce papers in his hand. Since after the trip we went on last year, he started to explain. His lover sat silently, showing no emotion. When he said trip, I realized he was talking about our honeymoon. We had gone on a last-minute honeymoon when I got a work bonus. John wanted the trip, so I paid for it. It turns out, during our honeymoon, his ex-girlfriend, who is now his lover, reached out to him. That's when he decided he still had feelings for her. What are you talking about? That was our honeymoon, I said, shocked. There's no point talking about it now. I love her, and she loves me too, he replied coldly. I like you, but she's the one I truly love. You've got to understand. Understand? How could I? Did my feelings mean nothing to him? Then he sighed, as if he was tired of dealing with me. You'll find someone better, he said. You probably don't want to stay in this house anyway. We'll be living here, so pack your things and leave in about a week. It was like he was throwing me away, like I didn't matter anymore. John was the one who had asked me out. He was the one who proposed. Now, he was the one ending it all, without taking responsibility for anything. In that moment, all my love for him vanished. Without arguing, I signed the divorce papers. John and his lover left the house without a single apology. We'll come back next week, so be gone by then, he said casually as they left. I felt numb, like my heart had frozen. It all happened so fast that I didn't even cry. The next day, I asked a friend to help me pack my things and moved back to my parents' house. I worked as a nurse and had been the one paying most of our bills since John didn't make much at his job. While I was heartbroken by his betrayal and the divorce, at least I didn't have to pay rent anymore. That was a small relief. Soon after, I found a new place to live and started packing again to leave my parents' home. But then, something unexpected happened. Kathy, John is here, my mom said. It was raining outside, so I let him in. My mom looked at me apologetically, as if she didn't know what else to do. Why was my ex-husband here now? After everything, what could he possibly want? He didn't love me, so he couldn't be here to ask for another chance. Did he want money? That would be just like him. He always hated working and spent recklessly. I went downstairs to find out what he wanted. What do you want? My dad asked angrily. John was calm. I'd like to talk to your daughter, he said. He acted as though nothing had happened. I opened the door and faced him, ready to get this over with. But then he said something so shocking that I didn't know how to respond. John's new wife, who used to be his lover, sits beside him like she belongs here. Why is she even here? This is my parents' house. What kind of person brings their mistress-turned-wife to their ex's family home? It's insulting, disrespectful, and downright crazy. Calm down, John says, as if I'm the one acting unreasonable. His attitude disgusts me, and she just sits there silently, as if this is normal. I don't have time for this, I say. Whatever you're here for, hurry up and get it over with. John gives me a sharp look, clearly annoyed by my tone. This is important. We haven't settled the division of property yet. I'm here to collect my share, he says. Of course, money, I should have known. John looks almost eager now. He really thinks he's about to get something big. Well, you're right, I say, keeping my face calm. I've been expecting this moment, so I'm ready. I grab my purse and hand him 30 cents. Here you go, this is your share. What? John and his wife stare at the coins in my hand, confused. What is this? He snaps, throwing the coins onto the floor. His wife finally speaks, her voice sharp. Are you joking? You call this property? Stop messing around. They're both furious, their faces bright red. This is all that's left of our savings, I say calmly. John's face twists in disbelief. He clearly expected more. There's no way. You had $200,000. Give me my $100,000 now, he yells, flailing his hands like a spoiled child. His wife nods along, glaring at me. I stare at him, completely stunned. Was this the man I married? Hurry up and give me the money, he shouts, his voice growing louder. Then he starts throwing things, knocking over furniture. completely losing control. I stand there, frozen, watching him unravel. This man, the one I once loved, has disappeared. No, this must be who he really is. His true colors are finally showing. I'm so glad I left him. Hearing all the shouting and crashing sounds, my dad, who had stepped out, and my brother, who just got home, came into the living room. Dad froze for a moment, stunned by the sight of John throwing a tantrum, but quickly stepped in. He grabbed John's arms and twisted them behind his back to stop him from wrecking the room further. I explained the situation to my brother, who's a lawyer. Since he already knew about the divorce, he understood immediately. John's new wife overheard us talking and realized my brother was a lawyer. Her eyes widened in shock. "Wait, you never told me your ex-wife has a lawyer in her family," she yelled at John, clearly panicking. I couldn't help but wonder, why are they so desperate for money? I didn't even want to talk to John, but I decided to ask, why do you need the money so badly? You divorced me because you said this woman was the love of your life. You chose her over me and wanted me gone. Yes, that's right, John admitted, completely unfazed. But dividing the property is important. That house we're living in now was the one we lived in together, so we want to build a new house of our own. We also need a car because we plan to have kids. And I want to take my family on a nice vacation too. You know, the kind of things any good husband would do. That's why I'm here, even though it's hard for me. Every single thing he said was selfish. He didn't want to come here? Well, I didn't want him here either. And the worst part? He didn't even realize how horrible his actions had been, and he wasn't the least bit sorry. Also, he added, I financially supported our marriage. The least you could do is give me my share as a thank you to your dear ex-husband. I froze, completely stunned. What did he just say? That he financially supported me? He must be joking. John never cared about work. He'd leave work as early as possible just to play video games at home. If he didn't feel like working, he'd take the day off, often faking sickness once he ran out of paid leave. He had no ambition to earn more money. He relied on me entirely because I was a nurse and earned a good salary. Sure, once in a while, he'd toss me $100, but it wasn't enough to cover anything serious. Honestly, living with him was like living with a lazy, unemployed boyfriend who just crashed at my place. He didn't do any housework and never once thanked me for supporting him. And now, he had the audacity to claim he financially supported me? I couldn't believe it. I was beyond disappointed. You have no idea what you're talking about, I said coldly. If that's true, maybe you should give me back the 30 cents I just handed you. What are you even saying? He snapped, getting defensive. I turned to his wife, keeping my voice calm. And you thought you hit the jackpot when you heard about my savings, didn't you? Well, I have bad news for you. I stayed composed as they both glared at me, clearly fuming. At this point, my brother speaks up for me. Excuse me, he begins firmly. I'm Henry Thompson, and I'm a lawyer. I'll explain this clearly on my sister's behalf. Only the savings made during the marriage can be divided as property. Any money saved before the marriage belongs solely to the person who saved it. He looks directly at John and continues, my sister saved the $200,000 before your marriage. That makes it her personal property, and it's not subject to division. You, on the other hand, had only 60 cents left in your shared account. Your share is half of that, 30 cents. That's all you're entitled to, so there's no point in complaining. Henry's voice is calm, but leaves no room for argument. It seems my sister worked hard to save for your future, but I believe you spent everything on the woman sitting next to you. John and his wife are stunned into silence. But, John starts to argue, but Henry cuts him off. What I just said, I said as Catherine's brother. Now, allow me to speak as her attorney, he says. His tone sharpens. My client has requested compensation from you. Why haven't you paid it yet? It's true, I had asked for compensation after the divorce, but John had only paid part of it. I had been wondering why he hadn't paid the rest, so I officially asked Henry to step in. Although Henry is helping now, my actual lawyer is one of his colleagues. None of us expected John to show up today, so Henry is stepping in temporarily. With his calm but intense gaze, Henry stares down John and his wife. They fall silent. You were the one who had an affair and caused the divorce, Henry continues. It makes no sense for you to ask for any money. In fact, it seems you spent all the money my sister had saved for your new life. My sister's request is simple: return the total amount you owe her and pay the compensation you agreed to. That's impossible. John shouts. Honey, stop it. We can't push this any further, his wife whispers, trying to calm him down. John, however, stands up in anger and kicks the table. His wife grabs his arm, trying to hold him back. Henry stays calm, unfazed, and simply says the word, court. At that, John's anger deflates. He slumps down and starts explaining the truth. After our divorce, John lost his job. Since his new wife is unemployed too, they began borrowing money. Now, they're drowning in debt and can't pay the compensation they owe me. Desperate for money, they remembered my savings. They thought if they demanded a division of property, I'd hand over half of it. I sit there in shock, unable to speak, as John and his wife suddenly change their attitude. They start begging me for help. Next to me, Henry shakes his head, silently telling me not to listen to them. I feel no sympathy for John or his wife. I tell them they still have to pay back both the compensation and my savings. Then, I ask my brother and dad to escort them out. The past few hours have felt like a whirlwind. Once they're gone, my mom comes back into the room, sighing with relief, and starts tidying up. My dad, still furious, mutters about what a terrible man John is, while helping her. My brother rubs my back gently. You did nothing wrong, he says. What you did today, and even the divorce, you should feel proud of yourself. He reassures me, adding that we'll make sure John pays the compensation. He calls his colleague right away. Everyone at the law firm is behind you, he says with a warm smile. I slump into the couch and mumble, I'm so tired, Mom. You handled it so well, she says, hugging me tightly. How about we all go out for steak tonight to celebrate and relax? Her words bring comfort, and I melt into her arms. My dad and brother agree, and we have a wonderful family dinner that night. Later, with the help of my brother, his colleague, and their law firm, the compensation and my savings are finally returned to me. As for John and his wife, I hear they've been struggling. They haven't had any luck finding proper jobs and are now working multiple part-time shifts to make ends meet. It doesn't look like they'll be buying a house, a car, or going on vacations anytime soon. I've also noticed a change in their attitude. Whenever I see them on the street, they greet me politely. It's a small improvement, but seeing it gives me a sense of peace. As for me, life has changed for the better. I'm now in a steady relationship with the attorney who worked on my case. My brother, Henry, is thrilled about it. He says, this guy is perfect for you, and I think he's right. A year after the divorce, I'm planning to introduce my new boyfriend to my parents. I know they'll be happy for me. Looking back, when John called his lover the love of his life, I didn't understand what he meant. But now, I think I finally understand. My new boyfriend might truly be the love of my life.